Hey internets, it's Jake, and this is Mini Terrain Domain, and welcome to the first episode of MTD Reviews, where today I will be reviewing Volo's Guide to Monsters for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now the cover you see over on the side here is for the limited edition cover, available only in a first printing and only to local hobby stores. The Volo's Guide to Monsters for 5th edition D&D could easily be considered in equal parts Monster Manual 2, Player's Handbook 2, and Dungeon Master's Guide 2. There's so much great stuff packed into this book. You are going to get expanded lore on several new monsters. You are going to get new character options that players can use in your games, including quite a few monstrous races that you can include usually at the Dungeon Master's discretion, and over 120 new monsters, beasts, and NPCs. And we'll go through a few of these in just a few moments. So if you're like me and 5th edition is the real first edition that you are getting involved with D&D, you may not know who Volo is. Volothamp G'Darm is a character that has been around for years, since around 2nd edition D&D. Ed Greenwood, who created the Forgotten Realms, much of what you see in the Forgotten Realms, and is responsible for much of the lore of the Forgotten Realms, used the often too curious and adventurous, and not always accurate, Volothamp G'Darm, or as he is known as Volo, to present a series of guides to various places within the realm, such as Waterdeep and the Dale Lands, magic, things like that. And there's a lot of lore that goes along with that, but I just did a little bit of research so that I could understand who Volo was. Now, the book is given a preface by Volo, and you will notice that this preface is annotated and commented on by Elminster Almar, the Archmage of the Shadowdale. Elminster himself sets a few facts straight that Volo may get incorrect. And you will find Volo and Elminster's commentary and notations scattered throughout the book, usually on the edges or in the top corners of pages, to kind of enhance the lore or monster entry that you are reading about. I found this to be a very enjoyable way of presenting the book. I'm very glad that it was presented in this way, in a framework rather than as a full-on narrative. I feel that a full-on narrative may have detracted from the usability of the book overall. But this is a wonderful portrayal of this book as almost as if the book exists within the world of the Forgotten Realms. And a quick note on that, as I keep mentioning the Forgotten Realms, and that this lore and these monsters are set kind of in the Forgotten Realms, which has Wizards of the Coast has kind of settled on Forgotten Realms as the default setting for the overall experience of D&D and most of the adventure paths. But that does not mean you can't use these in your own adventures, in your own worlds. I do it all the time, and in many of the groups that I play in, these same monsters and the same lore is used within other homebrew worlds. So you can easily take these out of the Forgotten Realms setting and put them within your own setting. I really enjoyed right off the bat getting into the lore section of this book. There are so many sections on lore, with expanded lore. Beholders, giants, gnolls, goblinoids, hags, kobolds, mind flayers, orcs, and Yuan-ti. I've used beholders quite a bit since I started playing 5th edition, and I'm learning that I haven't been playing them to their fullest potential. And just a few pages on lore about the beholders, what motivates beholders, how to use their eye rays, what kind of tactics they use, is just phenomenal. I'm excited to read about many of the other familiar monster races, and especially the Yuan-ti. which feature as an expanded lore monster, but also as a playable monstrous race in the form of Yuan-Ti Pureblood. Again, as I said, I'm relatively new to the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, so I'm not as familiar with things like the Yuan-Ti. So I'm excited to read about them and see how I can use them in my own games. There are many new character options available as well. So you can have players playing as Asimir, Firbolgs, Goliaths, Kenku, Lizardfolk, Tabaxi, and Triton. The Asimir, and this is kind of my own impression on my first kind of flip through this book, the Asimir have been around for a while. I don't know how long. I think I want to say like 3.5, but maybe earlier. And there was an unearthed arcana, or excuse me, in the DMG there was some Asimir options, but this is much more fleshed out. And kind of the easiest way to explain it, if you don't know, is the Asimir are like the antithesis to Tieflings, where a Tiefling is infernal born and Asimir is celestial born. So there's a lot of really cool options with those characters. Firbolgs, you can see the preview that Wizards provided for the Firbolg, that they have some really cool options. Just give you a sense of what you can expect when you're looking at the different races that are provided in here that characters can play as. That the Firbolg is kind of like I like to think of him as kind of like the friendly giant in a way. Now, that doesn't mean you can't play him any way you want. And you can see that they have things like innate magic. They have a feature called Hidden Step that allows them to turn invisible until their next turn. Like the Goliaths, they have a powerful build. They're considered to be one speech larger. And they have an affinity with nature and animals. So I can see the natural progression is to make a Firbolg druid, or maybe a paladin in the Oath of the Ancients or something like that. Again, there's a lot of different things you can do with that. The other thing that they've kind of provided in here along with these new race options are things, the monstrous races, like the bugbears, the goblins, the hobgoblins, the orcs, kobolds, and the Yuan-Ti purebloods. Now, a lot of people just jump at the option of being able to play as a monstrous race, and I know a lot of DMs maybe shy away from that right off the bat. What's really cool is you can either choose or roll on a D8. You can actually give a reason, an origin for the monster. Why would a goblin or a hobgoblin be traveling with a human and a tiefling and a dragonborn? Kind of a motley crew here. Where the hobgoblins, the bugbears, and the goblins are traditionally considered to be more of the evil or monstrous races. It could be that you are sent as a spy to undermine your enemies from within, or maybe at a young age you adopted a human religion and you now serve it faithfully. And you can add your own reasons to this, or maybe you don't have a reason. Maybe you've got a group that you just accept all kinds of races and classes, and they just naturally work together because that's the way your world works. I tend to take more of that approach to it. But sometimes you don't want monsters, and if you're going to be going up against a group of hobgoblins, you don't necessarily want a hobgoblin in your party, or maybe you do because you want to expand the way the role-playing opportunities for that. But looking again at the character options, you've got the Goliaths, which were actually included in a supplemental publication for the Princes of the Apocalypse and the whole Elemental Evil campaign. And they kind of got buried in that setting, and now they're presented here in Volos. Kenku are like wingless birds, really good at mimicry. The lizard folk, I like to think of them as if Dr. Spock and Worf and a dinosaur had a baby. They're very logical, cold, calculating type of race. The Tabaxi. I have a player that is very excited about the Tabaxi. They are catfolk, Khajiit, if you will, from the Skyrim setting. And then we have the Tritons, which are Aquaman and friends, basically. They're waterborne, and seriously, it's Aquaman. And I'm not saying that to be, derisive or anything like that. I think that's very cool. This book presents in its second half. I mean, literally, it's almost the entire second half of the book is monsters. And again, not knowing a lot of the earlier editions, I don't know if all of these are just reintroductions of older monsters or if there are some truly new monsters in here. But I was really excited to see expansions on the sections that have the lore on the different monsters do provide additional monster types. So there's a couple of new hags and hag lair actions and things like that. There's new orcs. There's some new goblins and kobolds. There's each of the giant races has a new giant type presented in here. One of the preview images that you can see here is the Froghemoth. You need to check out Locrius Planetoid. Check out his video. He does a tremendous video on the Froghemoth. I can't even do it justice. But this is just one of many tremendous monsters in this book. I still get inspiration from the original Monster Manual for 5th edition that's been out for a couple of years now. I love flipping through it and trying to figure out what new and unique ways can I use these monsters. Well, now I've got another 100 or so monsters that I can use. New demons, new expansions to the dinosaurs, new Mind Flayer options. It's just excellent. Just really to add so much more to your worlds. And maybe you've got players that have grown accustomed to your monster selections and they know what to expect. This book will definitely keep them guessing for a while. And you're going to find your favorites in there and things that you're going to want to keep using. I wanted to talk for a moment on the appendices. There are 2 appendices in the book. One is Appendix A, the Assorted Beasts, which provides just a couple of new beasts. Aurochs, which are basically like kind of like a bull, I guess. Just big muscular kind of bull. Cows, dolphins, kind of out of nowhere, I guess. But hey, there's dolphins in here. And a swarm of rock grubs. That's it for the beasts. I feel like they could have possibly expanded more on the beasts, maybe with some regional beasts or something like that. But overall, a couple cool new selections. Now, this Appendix B got me really excited because there's a lot of new non-player character options, NPC options in here. Where the Monster Manual had only the a mage or a sorcerer or a spy or something like that. You basically in here have every school of wizardry, druids, fighter champions. Basically every class has a variant in an NPC, and they range from, you got a quarter CR apprentice wizard, but most of your wizard types, like your abjurer, you got an archdruid, you've got enchanters and diviners and conjurers. They're ranging from like CR5 up to CR10 probably. You've got champions, blackguards, the Kraken priest, a necromancer, a master thief, a martial arts adept, a swashbuckler, a war priest, warlocks of the archfey of the fiend, the great old one, a warlord. So you can see there's a lot more NPC options to help flesh it out. Appendix C actually provides the stat blocks by creature type, so you can look at the aberrations, beasts, celestials, etc., and find out what page they are if you're looking for, I need a bunch of fiends. Where can I just find those? Then they have the stat blocks by CR rating. So if you're building your encounters based on CR, you can easily find those. And then I really like this too. They didn't do this in the original monster manual, but they did clarify it in the DMG. It's creatures by environment. So if you're doing a mountainous region, you can see all of the creatures that tend to be in the mountainous regions. Forest creatures, hill creatures, and they kind of list them by CR. So, for example, in the forest, you've got a boggle at 1/8 CR. You've got null witherlings, grungs, kobold inventors, vegapygmies, and velociraptors. Oh my. At quarter CR. And then you've got the brontosaurus, the woodwoad, the Yonti pitmaster up at CR 5, an archdruid, and a Yonti anathema at CR 12, all within the forest region. So the last thing I want to talk about on this book, Volo's Guide to Monsters, is this cover, the special edition cover. Very cool artwork on this edition. It's not really embossed. The artwork was illustrated by artist Hydro74, and it carries over on the back of the book as well. Some of these sections, I don't know if you can see this if I tilt it, there are a couple areas that the silver catches the light. The texture of the Monster Manual overall, or the Monster Guide overall, is a very smooth, kind of rubbery texture. I very much want to put this on the shelf behind me as a display and desk copy, and will probably purchase a standard cover edition at a later date for a table copy, because this is my one issue with this book, is this kind of rubbery cover. It really seems to pick up and hold finger oils, and I don't know if that's showing up at all on there, but it's a little disappointing when I go to look at the book and I see a big old, what looks like a grease stain on it from where I grabbed it. It's a minor complaint. So there it is, Volo's Guide to Monsters, $49.95 in most game stores, and what I paid for this copy. And it's the manufacturer's suggested retail price for all of their main guidebooks and core rule books. You can usually pick it up at a reduced price online, so if that's your thing, go for it. Overall, I am going to give Volo's Guide to Monsters, in my first impressions, first flip through, I am going to give it a full 10 out of 10 beholder eye stalks. So that's my rating for Volo's Guide to Monsters. Check it out. I want to thank you for tuning into MTD Reviews. I hope you found the review of Volo's Guide to Monsters for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons to be helpful. If you did, or you want to see more content like this, please hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and check out my other videos. You can find things like dungeon crafting, where I will show you how to build things like this ship behind me, and this house over here, things on the shelf behind me. I also run games. I run one-shots in using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule sets, sometimes set in my own world, sometimes set in other worlds. You can find me actively in the crafting world on DM Scotty's Crafts and Games Facebook page. You can find me over on the Absolute Tabletop official group Facebook page. And of course, if you want to stay up to date on what's coming next on Mini Terrain Domain, head over to facebook.com/Mini Terrain Domain and be sure to like the page over there. What else would you like to see reviewed? What would you like to see? Contact me through Facebook. Send me a message. Send me a message here in the comments down below or on YouTube. Or you can email me at miniterraindomain@gmail.com. Thank you, and MTD.